The C-17's engines wound down as we touched the tarmac at Joint Base Lewis McChord. December rain pelted the windows, matching the storm that had been building in my chest since we left Bagram. 18 months in Afghanistan, and all I could think about was seeing Michelle's face, feeling her arms around me, hearing her tell me everything would be okay now that I was home. "Sullivan, move your rear end," Sergeant First Class Torres barked from behind me. "Your family's waiting." Family. The word should have warmed me, but something felt off. The texts from Michelle had gotten shorter over the last few months, the video calls less frequent. I'd chalked it up to deployment fatigue. Happens to every military couple eventually. I grabbed my duffel and followed the line of soldiers off the plane. The hangar was packed with families holding welcome home signs, kids bouncing on their toes, wives dabbing at tears. I scanned the crowd, looking for Michelle's blonde hair, that smile that used to light up when she saw me. There, my parents stood near the back, Dad in his old army jacket, Mom clutching her purse like a lifeline. But no Michelle. "Jake!" Mom rushed forward, pulling me into a hug that felt too tight, desperate almost. "Oh, honey, you're home. You're finally home." "Where's Michelle?" I asked, pulling back to look at them both. Dad's jaw worked like he was chewing words he couldn't spit out. She had to work. The hospital called her in last minute, emergency surgery." "On a Saturday?" "You know how it is," Mom said quickly. Too quickly. "Nursing shortage. She wanted to be here." The drive home took 40 minutes. My parents filled the silence with updates about neighbors, Dad's golf game, anything except what I actually wanted to hear about. The hypervigilance I developed downrange kicked in. Something was wrong. Their nervous glances in the rearview mirror. Mom's white-knuckled grip on her purse. Dad taking turns too carefully, like he was afraid any sudden movement might set something off. Our house looked the same from the outside. Same blue shutters Michelle had insisted on painting herself. Same garden gnomes she'd bought at that flea market in Tacoma. I grabbed my bags and headed for the door, key already in hand. "Jake, wait," Mom started, but I was already inside. The living room hit me first. Our wedding photos were gone from the mantel. Not moved. Gone. The wall where we'd hung our anniversary pictures. Bare. The blanket Michelle's grandmother had crocheted for us, the one that always draped over our couch. Nowhere to be seen. "Michelle?" I called out, setting down my bags. "Babe?" Footsteps on the stairs. She appeared at the landing, and for a second my heart stopped. Still beautiful. Still the woman I'd married 5 years ago. But her face. God, her face looked like she was attending a funeral. "Jake." Not honey, not baby, just Jake. "I'm home," I said stupidly, like she couldn't see that. She came down slowly, maintaining distance like I was contaminated. "How was the flight?" "Long. Where are our pictures?" I redecorated while you were gone." She wouldn't meet my eyes. Thought it was time for a change. "A change?" I repeated the words, tasting their wrongness. "Michelle, what's going on?" "You just got back. You must be tired. Why don't you shower, get some rest? We can talk later." "Talk about what?" My parents appeared in the doorway behind me. Mom's eyes were wet. Dad looked like he'd aged 10 years since picking me up. "Son," Dad said carefully, "maybe you should—" "No." The command voice I'd perfected with new privates cut through whatever he was about to suggest. "Someone needs to tell me what the hell is happening, now." Michelle wrapped her arms around herself. "Jake, I need time to adjust to you being back. It's been so long and I need space to process." "Process? I'm your husband, not a hostile combatant you need to process." "Please," she whispered. "Just give me a few days. Sleep in the guest room tonight. Please." The guest room. In my own house. After 18 months of sleeping on a cot in a plywood shack, mortars dropping around us every other night, watching Martinez take shrapnel to the leg, holding Thompson while he bled out waiting for the medevac that came 20 minutes too late. All of it endured with her letters in my pocket, her picture in my helmet, the promise of coming home to her keeping me sane. "Fine," I heard myself say. "Few days." That night, I lay in the guest bed, our guest bed, in our house. staring at the ceiling fan's lazy rotation. Every creak of the house made me reach for a rifle that wasn't there. Every car passing outside had me calculating distance and direction. The hypervigilance was normal, expected even. Doc Ramirez had warned us about it during the redeployment brief. What wasn't normal was the cold distance from my wife, the missing photos, the way my parents looked at me like I was made of glass. The next morning, I woke to an empty house. Michelle had left a note. At work, leftovers in fridge, M. Not even love, M. I spent the day trying to settle back into civilian life. Unpacking, doing laundry. The mundane tasks that should have felt like freedom after deployment but instead felt like moving through quicksand. Every room in the house felt wrong. Our bedroom, I'd gone in to get civilian clothes, smelled different. Michelle's perfume was there, but underneath it, something else. Cologne. Not mine. The closet was reorganized, my clothes shoved to one side, making room for nothing. Empty hangers where something had been recently removed. I called Rodriguez, my squad leader before promotion. Hey, Sarge, you home yet? Got back last week, he said. Maria's already got me signed up for couples therapy. Says I'm jumpy. Just jumpy? Well, I may have hit the deck when the neighbor's kid set off firecrackers. He laughed, but it was hollow. Doc says it's normal. PTSD symptoms. You sleeping okay? Not really. Get yourself to behavioral health, Sullivan. No shame in it. We've all seen things. Yeah, I agreed, but that wasn't what was keeping me awake. Days blurred together. Michelle worked longer shifts. When she was home, she stayed in the bedroom, our bedroom, while I occupied the guest room like a stranger. My parents called daily, their concern palpable even through the phone. Friends from base invited me out, but I declined. Something was building, a pressure in my chest that had nothing to do with Afghanistan and everything to do with the growing certainty that my marriage was already over. On day 13, I'd had enough. I made an appointment with behavioral health, not for the PTSD, though God knew I needed it, but because they offered couples counseling. I want to save my marriage, I told the intake specialist, Staff Sergeant Maria Santos. She was small, fierce-looking, with the kind of eyes that had seen too much but hadn't given up hoping. Deployment's hard on relationships, she said, typing notes. Your wife willing to attend? I haven't asked yet. She looked up. Communication's the first step, Sergeant Sullivan. Can't fix what you won't talk about. That evening, I confronted Michelle. She was in the kitchen, making dinner for one. We need counseling, I said without preamble. She froze, spatula in hand. What? Couples counseling. I made an appointment. Thursday at 2. Dr. Foster comes highly recommended. Jake, I don't think... 5 years, Michelle. 5 years of marriage, 18 months of deployment, and you can't even look at me. We're going. She set down the spatula slowly, deliberately. Fine. Thursday? The base hospital's behavioral health wing was too familiar. I'd been there before, after Thompson died, mandatory sessions that barely scratched the surface of what combat does to a person's soul. Dr. Foster's office was different, though. Warmer, with actual art on the walls instead of motivational posters. Mr. and Mrs. Sullivan, Dr. Foster greeted us. She was older, maybe 50, with silver-streaked hair and kind eyes. Please, have a seat. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. The distance between us might as well have been an ocean. So, Dr. Foster began, Jake, you just returned from deployment. Michelle, how has that transition been for you? Michelle's hands twisted in her lap. It's difficult. He's different. Different how? Jumpy, angry. He checks the locks 5 times before bed. He won't let me open the curtains. All true. All symptoms straight out of the PTSD handbook. But that wasn't why she couldn't look at me. Jake, Dr. Foster turned to me. How do you feel about being home? Like I'm still deployed, I admitted. Like I'm waiting for something bad to happen. That's completely normal. Hypervigilance is one of the most common. It's not just that, Michelle interrupted. I don't know how to be married to him anymore. The words hung in the air like smoke from an IED. Can you elaborate? Dr. Foster asked gently. 18 months is a long time. People change. I changed. I had to learn to be alone, to handle everything myself. The house, the bills, the car breaking down, the basement flooding, all of it without him. That must have been very difficult, Dr. Foster validated. Military spouses often report feeling abandoned during deployment, even though logically they know, I didn't feel abandoned, Michelle said. I felt free. Another gut punch. I stared at the ceiling, counting tiles like I'd counted days until coming home. Free from what? Dr. Foster probed. From worrying. Every day, wondering if today would be the day two soldiers showed up at my door. From pretending everything was fine when friends asked how I was handling it. From being a military wife. So you want out, I said flatly. I didn't say that. You didn't have to, Dr. Foster intervened. Let's slow down. Michelle, when did these feelings start? Michelle was quiet for so long I thought she wouldn't answer. Then, October. Last October. That's specific. What happened in October? I met someone. The world tilted. My vision tunneled like I was back in a firefight, everything narrowing to a single point of focus. You met someone. It wasn't supposed to happen. Brian works at the hospital. He's a contractor for medical equipment. We just talked at first. Coffee. He understood what I was going through. Brian. I tasted the name like poison. You've been seeing Brian. It's not, we haven't, it's not physical. But you want it to be. She didn't deny it. Dr. Foster cleared her throat. Affairs, emotional or physical, are unfortunately common during deployment. The isolation, the stress. How long? I interrupted. What? How long have you been seeing him? Michelle looked at her hands. Since October. October. 2 months into deployment. When I was still writing her letters every week, calling whenever we had internet, telling the guys about my amazing wife waiting for me at home. I need some air, I said, standing. Jake, we should continue, Dr. Foster started. I need air, I repeated, and left. Outside, the December rain had turned to sleet. I sat on a bench, letting it soak through my ACUs, feeling nothing. Rodriguez found me there an hour later. Sarge? Jesus, you're soaked. She met someone, I said without looking at him. 2 months into deployment. Ah, hell. He sat beside me, ignoring the wet bench. I'm sorry, brother. 18 months. 18 goddamn months of thinking I had something to come home to. What are you going to do? I don't know. You could make her life hell, he suggested. I know guys who did. Drain the accounts, take everything in the divorce, tell everyone what she did. That's not who I am. No, he agreed. It's not. Come on, let's get you dry. That night, I moved my things to the barracks. Technically, I still had base housing with Michelle, but I couldn't stay there. Couldn't pretend. The single soldier barracks were depressing. Cinder block walls, communal bathroom, the constant noise of junior enlisted being stupid. But it was honest. Michelle texted once. Where are you? Barracks, I replied. We should talk. Through lawyers. She didn't respond. The next 2 weeks were a blur of administrative tasks. Updating my record, changing my emergency contacts, meeting with JAG about divorce procedures. Staff Sergeant Santos from Behavioral Health checked on me regularly, professionally concerned. You're handling this well, she observed during one visit. Am I? I feel like I'm drowning. You're not drinking. You're not fighting. You're not stalking her. You're using the legal system. That's handling it well. The bar's that low? For someone with PTSD who just found out about infidelity? Yeah, the bar's that low. She was right. I'd seen soldiers handle betrayal worse. Kenwright had burned his wife's clothes on the front lawn. Patterson had drained their joint account and disappeared to Vegas. Mitchell had put his fist through a wall and broken his hand, ending his career. I was handling it legally, properly, like the NCO I was supposed to be. Then came the day that changed everything. December 14th. 3 weeks after landing. 2 weeks after the therapy session. I'd gone back to the house while Michelle was at work to get more of my things. The mail was piling up. She'd never been good about checking it. I grabbed the stack to sort through bills from trash when an envelope caught my eye. District Court of Washington, addressed to me. Dated November 2023, November. Over a year ago. While I was deployed. I opened it with shaking hands. Final decree of divorce. Petitioner, Michelle Sullivan. Respondent, Jake Sullivan. Date of judgment, February 1st, 2024. February, 10 months ago. We'd been divorced for 10 months. I read it again. Then again. The words wouldn't change. Default judgment entered due to failure to respond. Failure to respond to papers I'd never received. While I was in Afghanistan, while I was writing her letters, while she was cashing my bay checks, while she was using my insurance. My phone rang. Mom. Jake, honey, are you okay? You haven't called in days. Mom, my voice sounded disconnected like it belonged to someone else. Did you know? Know what? That Michelle divorced me in February, 10 months ago. Silence. Then, quietly. Oh, Jake. You knew. Not a question. She sent the papers here, said she'd tell you when you got back. Said it would be easier. You hid my divorce papers? You were deployed. You were in combat. We couldn't. I hung up, threw the phone against the wall where it shattered into expensive pieces. Then I sat on the kitchen floor of what used to be my house and tried to understand how I'd been divorced for 10 months without knowing it. The next morning, I was at JAG's office when they opened. Captain Harrison, a lawyer who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, reviewed the papers. This is highly irregular, he said, adjusting his glasses. You were deployed. The Service Members Civil Relief Act should have protected you. They can't get a default judgment against active duty military without proving they attempted proper service. So it's void? Not automatically. We'll need to prove you weren't properly served. It says here papers were delivered to. He squinted at the small print. Your home of record. That's your parents' address. They admitted they got them, hid them from me. His eyebrows shot up. Your parents concealed legal documents? To protect me. Jesus Christ, he rubbed his temples. Okay, this is salvageable. Maybe. Did your wife, ex-wife, did she receive any benefits after the divorce was finalized? She was living in our base housing, using my insurance, getting my bah. For 10 months? Yeah. He whistled low. That's fraud, federal fraud. Each fraudulent transaction is a separate count. We're talking serious prison time. I don't want her in prison. I just want this made right. Sergeant Sullivan, with all due respect, she stole from the government, from you. This isn't just about what you want anymore. Maria Santos was in her office when I knocked. Jake, you look like hell. I need help. PTSD symptoms getting worse? No. Well, yes, but that's not why I'm here. I handed her the divorce decree. She read it, her expression darkening. This is dated February. I just found out yesterday. How is that possible? I explained. Her parents concealing papers. Michelle living a lie for 10 months. The benefits fraud. By the time I finished, Maria was pacing, her small frame radiating fury. That absolute, she caught herself. Sorry, professional bearing. Feel free to finish that sentence. I can't. But I'm thinking it real loud. She sat, fingers drumming on her desk. Okay, you've been to JAG? This morning. Good. Now we document everything. Every transaction, every use of benefits, every gate entry with her dependent ID. We build a case so airtight God himself couldn't find a loophole. You'll help? Jake, I've seen a lot of soldiers get screwed over. Cheating, Dear John letters, Jody stealing their girl. But this? Divorcing you while deployed and then continuing to steal benefits? This is next level. Yeah, I'll help. We spent the next week gathering evidence. Gate logs showing Michelle's ID card used after the divorce. Commissary purchases on her expired dependent ID. TRICARE claims. The BAH payments deposited to the joint account she still had access to. Each piece of evidence was another nail in the coffin of what I'd thought was my life. Rodriguez helped, pulling strings with friends in finance. Brother, she took you for almost 40,000 in benefits after the divorce. 40,000? Bah, insurance, commissary privileges. It adds up. My parents called repeatedly. I didn't answer. They showed up at the barracks, but I had the duty NCO turn them away. Dad left a letter. Son, we thought we were protecting you. You had enough to deal with over there. We were wrong. We see that now. Please let us explain. I burned it. Michelle tried to contact me too. Texts progressing from, "We need to talk," to, "This is getting out of hand," to, "My lawyer says you're being unreasonable." Her lawyer. Brian probably paying for it with the money she'd stolen from me. Then came the counterstrike. 2 weeks into building our case, I was called to the commander's office. Lieutenant Colonel Roberts sat behind his desk, looking uncomfortable. "Sergeant Sullivan, I've received a concerning report." "Sir?" "Your ex-wife and her friend have filed a protective order. They claim you've been stalking them, making threats. They cite your PTSD as evidence of instability." "Sir, I haven't had any contact with her since I found out about the divorce. I've been working with JAG and following legal channels." "I believe you. Your record speaks for itself. But this complicates things. The media loves a story about an unstable veteran. We need to be very careful how we proceed." "What do you recommend, sir?" "Document everything. Every interaction, every text, every witness to your whereabouts. Don't give them any ammunition." Maria was furious when I told her. "They're trying to discredit you, make you look like the dangerous veteran so nobody questions the fraud." "It might work. Not if I have anything to say about it." She pulled out a folder. "I've been documenting your PTSD treatment compliance. Every session attended. Every medication taken as prescribed. Every coping strategy implemented. You're a textbook case of successful reintegration despite trauma. Any judge who sees this will know the protective order is bull." The preliminary hearing was set for January 15th. Michelle showed up with Brian and a lawyer who looked like he charged more per hour than I made in a month. I had Captain Harrison and a thick folder of evidence. "Your Honor," Michelle's lawyer began, "my client fears for her safety. Sergeant Sullivan has PTSD from combat and has been exhibiting concerning behaviors." "Such as?" Judge Coleman asked. She was older, stern-faced, with eyes that had seen every kind of legal maneuvering. "Stalking, harassment. My client reports feeling watched." "Your Honor," Captain Harrison stood, "I'd like to present evidence that Sergeant Sullivan has had zero contact with Mrs. Sullivan since discovering she fraudulently divorced him while he was deployed and continued to receive military benefits for 10 months after." The judge's eyebrows rose. "Fraudulently divorced?" "The divorce was finalized while Sergeant Sullivan was in Afghanistan. Papers were allegedly served to his parents' address, who have admitted to concealing them. Meanwhile, Mrs. Sullivan continued to live in military housing, use military insurance, and receive housing allowances totaling approximately $40,000. Is this true?" The judge turned to Michelle. Her lawyer whispered urgently in her ear. "My client believed the divorce was handled properly. While receiving benefits she wasn't entitled to? She was unaware." "Your Honor," Harrison interrupted, "we have gate logs, commissary receipts, and TRICARE claims all showing Mrs. Sullivan knew she was using benefits under false pretenses." The judge reviewed the evidence, her expression darkening with each page. "Mrs. Sullivan, did you or did you not continue to receive military benefits after your divorce was finalized?" Michelle looked at her lawyer, then at Brian, then at me. For the first time since I'd come home, she really looked at me. I was going to tell him." "When?" The judge's voice could have frozen water. "After another year? 2? When was convenient?" "Your Honor," her lawyer started. "Counselor, your client appears to have committed federal benefits fraud. The protective order is denied. Furthermore, I'm forwarding this case to the federal prosecutor's office. Mrs. Sullivan, Mr. She checked the papers. "Winters, you might want to secure criminal defense attorneys." Walking out of the courthouse, I felt nothing. No victory, no satisfaction, just empty. Maria was waiting by my truck. "You won." "Did I? My marriage is over. Was over before I knew it. My parents betrayed me. I've got PTSD that wakes me up screaming. What exactly did I win? Your dignity, your benefits, justice. Justice. The word tasted like sand. Over the next 3 months, the case built momentum. The federal prosecutor, a bulldog named Sarah Davis, took personal interest. Sergeant Sullivan, what your ex-wife did isn't just fraud. It's a betrayal of everything military families are supposed to represent. I intend to pursue this to the full extent of the law. I told Captain Harrison, I don't want her in prison. With respect, that's not your call. She stole from the federal government, from every taxpayer, from other military families who follow the rules. The investigation expanded. Brian's security clearance was suspended pending review. As a defense contractor, that essentially ended his career. Michelle's nursing license came under review for moral turpitude. My parents were subpoenaed to testify about concealing the divorce papers. The military community responded predictably. Michelle was banned from the spouse Facebook groups she'd been part of. The other wives who'd supported her during deployment turned their backs. Someone spray-painted "Depend a Thief" on her car. I had nothing to do with it, but I didn't feel bad about it either. Brian tried to salvage his career by throwing Michelle under the bus. His lawyer argued he had no knowledge of the fraud, that he'd been deceived too. Michelle's lawyer countered that Brian had encouraged her to keep the benefits until Jake got back. They turned on each other like rats in a sinking ship. My parents' testimony was pathetic. Mom cried through the entire deposition. Dad tried to maintain military bearing but crumbled when asked directly why he'd hidden legal documents from his son. I thought I was protecting him, he said. He had enough to worry about. Did you consider, Prosecutor Davis asked, that by hiding these documents, you were enabling federal fraud? I didn't think. No, you didn't. Rodriguez and the guys from my unit rallied around me. We'd go to the gym, to the range, anywhere to keep my mind off the circus my life had become. They never asked how I was doing. They knew. They just made sure I was never alone with my thoughts for too long. You know what the worst part is? I told Rodriguez one night over beers. My limit was 2 now. Couldn't risk losing control. I actually loved her. Yeah, brother, that is the worst part. In March, 4 months after I'd come home, the plea deal started. Michelle's lawyer negotiated probation and full restitution. No jail time, but she'd have a federal conviction on her record forever. The $40,000 she'd stolen would come out of her wages for years. Brian got a $10,000 fine and permanent loss of his security clearance. His company terminated him the day the plea was entered. No defense contractor would touch him now. My parents faced civil liability for their role in concealing the papers. The federal prosecutor declined to charge them criminally, but they were named in the civil suit to recover damages. Their retirement savings would take a hit. This is the best deal you're going to get, Prosecutor Davis told me. Take it or we go to trial, where she might get prison time. Take the deal, I said. I wanted it over. The final hearing was April 10th. Michelle stood before the judge, no longer the confident woman who'd kept me going through deployment. She looked smaller, defeated. Brian wasn't even there. They'd split up when the legal troubles started. Mrs. Sullivan, Judge Coleman said, you've pled guilty to federal benefits fraud. You'll serve 3 years probation, pay full restitution of $43,200, and perform 200 hours of community service. You understand that this conviction will remain on your record permanently? Yes, Your Honor. Do you have anything to say? Michelle turned to look at me. Jake, I'm sorry. I was scared and stupid and… Mrs. Sullivan, the judge interrupted, save your apologies for someone who might believe them. Outside the courthouse, Captain Harrison shook my hand. The SCRA violation ruling stands. The divorce is void. You're technically still married, though I assume you'll be filing papers yourself now. Already drafted. Good. And Jake? I'm sorry this happened to you. Maria was there too, in civilian clothes for once. How do you feel? Like I can finally start processing Afghanistan. This whole thing has been a different kind of war. You won both. Nobody wins wars, Maria. Sometimes you just survive them. She studied me for a moment. You know, I'm going off duty. Want to grab coffee? Just coffee. No therapy, no case discussion. Just 2 people who've seen some stuff having coffee. Yeah, I'd like that. We went to a little place off base. Maria, turned out, had her own deployment stories, her own betrayals. We talked until the place closed, then sat in my truck talking until the sun came up. I should go, she said finally. Yeah? Neither of us moved. Jake, I know your divorce isn't even final yet, but when it is, I'd like to do this again. The coffee was that good? She laughed. Something like that. Over the next months, life slowly rebuilt itself. The divorce was finalized in May, uncontested this time. I gave Michelle the house. I didn't want it anymore. Too many ghosts. My parents reached out repeatedly. I finally answered in June. 5 minutes, I told Dad when he called. Jake, we're sorry. We were wrong. We betrayed your trust and we know that. We don't expect forgiveness, but we want you to know we love you. Love without trust isn't worth much, Dad. I know, we know. If you ever want to try to rebuild, we'll be here. Maybe, not now, but maybe someday. It was more than they deserved, but holding on to anger was like holding on to a live grenade. Eventually, it would destroy me too. The unit deployed again in July. I stayed back, flagged for behavioral health. It killed me watching them go without me, but Maria, who'd become more than a friend by then, kept me grounded. You've got nothing to prove, she said. You did your time. You earned your scars, visible and invisible. Let someone else carry the weight for a while. She was right. I'd been carrying weight since before deployment. Michelle's betrayal, my parents' deception, the memories of Thompson dying in my arms, Martinez learning to walk again, the constant hypervigilance that made every door a potential breach point, every crowd a potential threat. I started working with the Warrior Transition Battalion, helping other soldiers navigate reintegration. Turns out, my story wasn't unique. The betrayals, the fraud, the families who thought they were helping by hiding hard truths. I became the guy others came to when their worlds fell apart. How do you move past it? Private Davis asked after his wife emptied their accounts while he was at NTC. You don't move past it, I told him. You move through it, one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, and eventually you realize you're on the other side. Michelle tried to contact me once more, in August. A letter forwarded through her lawyer. Jake, I know you'll probably throw this away, but I need you to know I did love you. I was just too weak and scared to love you the right way. Brian was easy. He was there. He didn't have nightmares or check windows or carry invisible wounds. I took the coward's way out and I'll regret it forever. I hope you find someone who deserves you. I showed it to Maria. Do you believe her? She asked. Does it matter? She made her choices. I've made mine. And what choice is that? I pulled her close. Choosing to trust again. Choosing to believe not everyone will betray that trust. Choosing you. She kissed me then, and for the first time in months, the weight felt lighter. In September, Rodriguez returned from deployment with a Purple Heart and a ticket home. IED took 3 fingers from his left hand. I was there when he got off the plane, Maria beside me. Looking good, Sarge, he said, nodding at Maria. Feeling good, brother. His wife ran to him, careful of his injuries but unable to hold back. Watching them, I felt a pang. Not of jealousy, but of recognition. That could have been Michelle and me if she'd been stronger, if she'd chosen differently. You okay? Maria asked, reading my expression. Yeah, just thinking about paths not taken. Regrets? No. Everything that happened led me here. To you. To this life. I wouldn't change it. Even the betrayal? Especially the betrayal. It taught me who I could trust, who I couldn't, what I was worth. That's invaluable intel. October brought news through the military grapevine. Brian had left the state, taken a job selling insurance in Ohio. Michelle was working at a small clinic outside Spokane, her federal conviction making it impossible to get hired at any major hospital. My parents had paid their portion of the civil judgment and retreated into quiet retirement, their veteran community connections severed by their choices. Justice, Maria said when I told her. Consequences, I corrected. Justice would mean none of it happened. You're getting philosophical on me, Sullivan. Occupational hazard of too much therapy. She laughed. We were good at that now. laughing. It had taken months to remember how, but we'd found it again. The promotion board results came out in November. Staff Sergeant Sullivan was now Sergeant First Class Sullivan. Rodriguez pinned me in a quiet ceremony, just the unit and families. "Speech," someone called out. I looked at the gathered faces, soldiers who'd had my back. Maria, beaming with pride. Even Captain Harrison had come. 2 years ago, I thought I knew what coming home meant. I was wrong. Home isn't a place or even a person. It's the people who stand by you when everything goes to hell. It's the ones who pick you up when you can't stand anymore. It's choosing to trust again when trust seems impossible. You all taught me that. Thank you. The applause was genuine, not the obligatory clapping at most ceremonies. These people had earned their place in my life through loyalty when betrayal would have been easier. That evening, Maria and I sat on the porch of my new apartment, small but mine, untainted by memories of Michelle. "SFC Sullivan," she said, trying out the sound. "It suits you. Rank doesn't mean much without the right people to share it with." "Getting soft on me, Sergeant?" "Maybe a little." She leaned into me, and we watched the sun set over the base. Somewhere, Michelle was living with her consequences. My parents were grappling with their choices. Brian was starting over in a life he'd never planned. But here, now, I was exactly where I needed to be. The hypervigilance hadn't gone away. Still checked locks, still sat with my back to walls, still started at unexpected sounds. But I'd learned to live with it, to work around it, to not let it define me. "I love you," Maria said quietly. First time she'd said it. "I love you too. Even with all the baggage?" "Especially with the baggage. It's what made us who we are. Broken soldiers finding each other? Tested soldiers. We're not broken. We're just refined. Fired in combat, forged in betrayal, tempered by survival. You've been reading poetry again." "Guilty. Therapy homework." We laughed, comfortable in our damaged wholeness. December rolled around again. 1 year since I'd come home to a lie. The unit was preparing for another deployment, but I'd been tagged for recruiting duty. 3 years of telling America's youth about Army values while trying to live them myself. "You'll hate it," Rodriguez warned. "Recruiting's where good NCOs go to die." Maybe. But I need a break from the deployment cycle. Time to figure out who I am when I'm not at war. You know who you are. You're the guy who chose legal over revenge, who rebuilt after betrayal, who found love after loss. That's who you are. The change of command ceremony included a awards presentation. I stood in formation, mind wandering as they read citations. Then my name was called. Sergeant First Class Sullivan, front and center. I marched forward, fell into position before the battalion commander. For exceptional moral courage in the face of personal adversity, for maintaining military bearing and discipline despite extraordinary provocation, and for serving as an example of integrity for all non-commissioned officers, Sergeant First Class Jake Sullivan is awarded the Army Commendation Medal. The commander pinned the medal to my chest. "Your response to betrayal with dignity and legal process rather than violence or vengeance sets the standard for military professionalism. Well done, Sergeant." I returned to formation, the medal's weight negligible compared to everything else I carried. But it was recognition that doing the right thing mattered, even when the wrong thing would have been easier and maybe more satisfying. After the ceremony, Maria found me. "Commendation for not going crazy. That's a first." "I had help staying sane." "Yeah, you did." She straightened the medal on my chest. "You know Michelle was served divorce papers this week? Saw it on the legal blotter?" "Who's divorcing who?" "Some contractor from her clinic. Apparently she cheated on him too." I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just a vague sadness for the woman Michelle had become or maybe always was. "Patterns," I said. "People don't change unless they want to. She doesn't want to." "What about us? Have we changed?" Maria considered. "No. We've just become more ourselves. Stripped away the unnecessary parts, kept what mattered." That night, I called my parents for the first time in months. "Jake?" Mom's voice was tentative, hopeful. I'm getting married next month, I said, without preamble. Small ceremony. You're not invited. But I wanted you to know. Oh, we understand. Is she, is she good to you? She's another combat vet. She understands in ways Michelle never could have. That's good. We're happy for you. I'm not calling to reconcile. Maybe someday, but not now. I just thought you should know from me rather than through the grapevine. Thank you for that. Jake? Yeah? We love you. Despite everything, we love you. I know. That's what makes it worse. I hung up, feeling lighter. Baby steps towards something that might eventually resemble forgiveness. January 2026. Maria and I married in a tiny ceremony at the base chapel. Rodriguez was my best man, missing fingers and all. Her sister was her maid of honor. 20 people total, all military or veterans. People who understood that love was a choice you made daily, not a feeling that sustained itself. Do you, Jake Sullivan, take Maria Santos to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold, in sickness and in health, through deployments and reintegration, through nightmares and healing, as long as you both shall live? I do. The chaplain had personalized the vows. We'd asked him to. Traditional vows didn't cover what we were promising each other. Do you, Maria Santos, take Jake Sullivan to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold, in garrison and in combat zones, through PTSD and recovery, through the visible and invisible wounds of service, as long as you both shall live? I do. By the power vested in me by the United States Army and the state of Washington, I now pronounce you husband and wife. We kissed, and the small gathering erupted. These were our people, our chosen family, the ones who'd stood by us when standing was hard. At the reception, beer and barbecue in Rodriguez's backyard, Captain Harrison, now Major Harrison, pulled me aside. Jake, I wanted you to know. Michelle's fraud case is being used as a training example at JAG school. What to look for, how to prosecute, how to protect deployed soldiers. Your case will help prevent this from happening to others. Good. Also, there's talk of congressional testimony. The Armed Services Committee is looking at strengthening SCRA protections. They want to hear from someone who's been through it. I'll think about it. One more thing. He handed me an envelope. This came through official channels. Inside was a letter from Michelle's lawyer. She was requesting permission to apologize in person, part of her probation's restorative justice requirement. What do you think? I asked Maria, showing her the letter. Your call. You don't owe her anything. No, I don't. I tore the letter in half. Some doors need to stay closed. February arrived with orders to Fort Jackson, recruiting duty in South Carolina. Maria got orders to the same post. The Army occasionally did something right with dual military couples. You ready for this? She asked as we packed. Ready to leave here? Yeah. Too many ghosts. They won't follow us? Ghosts always follow, but they get quieter with distance. Moving day. As we drove off post for the last time, I saw Michelle at a coffee shop downtown. She was alone, reading something on her phone. She looked up as we passed, our eyes meeting for a brief moment. I saw recognition, regret. Something that might have been apology or might have been self-pity. I didn't wave, didn't acknowledge. Just drove on. You okay? Maria asked. Yeah, just closing a chapter. What's the next one called? I don't know yet. We'll write it together. Fort Jackson was different. The pace of recruiting was relentless but predictable. No mortars, no IEDs, just quotas and high school kids who thought Call of Duty prepared them for the real thing. You ever regret it? One potential recruit asked. Joining, I mean, after everything that happened to you? I thought about Thompson, Martinez, Michelle, my parents. The scars, visible and invisible. No, I said honestly. The Army didn't betray me. People did. The Army gave me brothers who had my back, skills to survive, and the strength to rebuild. It gave me purpose when I had none, and family when mine failed me. That's worth the price. The kid enlisted. Infantry, like I'd been a lifetime ago. Maria thrived in her new role at the Warrior Transition Battalion, helping broken soldiers find new paths. We were the power couple nobody expected. Two damaged veterans who'd found wholeness in each other's brokenness. We should write a book, she suggested one evening. Our story. Help others going through the same thing. Nobody would believe it. Divorced for 10 months without knowing? Parents hiding papers? It's too much. Truth is stranger than fiction. Yeah, but fiction has to make sense. We laughed, but the idea stuck. I started writing at night, processing the past 2 years through words. It was therapy, in a different form, organizing chaos into narrative. May 2026. A call from an unknown number. Sergeant First Class Sullivan, this is Senator Patricia Williams from the Armed Services Committee. We'd like you to testify about your experience with SCRA violations during deployment. Senator, with respect, I've moved on. I understand, but your testimony could help protect thousands of deployed service members. We're proposing the Sullivan Act. Automatic stays on all civil proceedings when service members are deployed. No exceptions. The Sullivan Act. My name on legislation protecting others from what I'd experienced. I'll do it. Washington in June was swampy, miserable. The Capitol building was intimidating, all marble and history. Maria sat in the gallery as I took my seat before the committee. State your name for the record. Sergeant First Class Jake Sullivan, United States Army. Sergeant Sullivan, tell us about your experience. I told them everything. The deployment, the hidden divorce, the fraud, the betrayal by family, the systematic failure of systems meant to protect service members. I kept my voice steady, professional, but I saw several committee members taking notes with angry expressions. Sergeant Sullivan, Senator Williams said when I finished, what would have prevented this? Mandatory notification through military channels, Senator. Papers served to units, not home addresses. Automatic stays that can't be waived without the service member's direct consent. Real consequences for fraud, not just restitution. The penalties weren't sufficient? Senator, my ex-wife got probation for stealing $40,000 while I was in combat. If I'd stolen $40,000 from the Army, I'd be in Leavenworth. Point taken. Thank you for your service and your testimony. Outside, Maria hugged me tight. You did good. Did I? Feels like reopening wounds. Sometimes wounds need air to heal properly. The Sullivan Act passed in September. Not everything I'd wanted, but better protections than before. My name on a law that would outlive me. Thompson and Martinez would have laughed at that. Jake Sullivan, the guy who once got Article 15 for being late to formation, now had a law named after him. Rodriguez called when he heard. Congressional testimony, laws named after you. You're practically a celebrity. Yeah, right. I'm serious. You're the guy who survived betrayal with dignity. That matters to people. I'm just a guy who refused to become what they expected, a dangerous, unstable veteran. That shouldn't be exceptional. But it is. October 2026, 2 years since discovering the divorce. Life had rhythm now, recruiting during the day, writing at night, Maria beside me through all of it. We talked about kids, maybe, when the time was right, about life after the Army, about growing old together. Then the call that changed things again. Jake, Dad's voice, but wrong, weak. What's wrong? It's Mom. She had a stroke. The doctors say days, maybe a week. I felt nothing, then everything, then nothing again. Jake? I'll think about it. I hung up, told Maria. You should go, she said. They betrayed me. Yes, and you'll regret not saying goodbye. Trust me on this. She was right, she usually was. The hospital in Tacoma smelled like every hospital. Disinfectant and despair. Mom looked small in the bed, machines keeping her alive. Dad sat beside her, holding her hand, looking every one of his 70 years. Jake. He stood, uncertain. Dad. She can hear, they think. Talk to her. I sat in the uncomfortable chair, looking at the woman who'd raised me, loved me, betrayed me. Hey, Mom. It's Jake. The words came slowly. I'm here. I'm okay. Maria and I are good. You'd like her. She's tough, like you used to be. Before you got scared. Before you chose protecting me over trusting me. Her eyes moved under closed lids. I'm still angry. Part of me will always be angry. You took away my choice, my agency. You decided what I could handle instead of letting me handle it. That's not love, Mom. That's control. Dad made a sound, but I kept going. But I also remember the good stuff. The care packages that did get through. The letters before everything went wrong. The mother who raised a son strong enough to survive betrayal, even yours. So, I forgive you. Not for you. For me. Because carrying this anger is killing me slowly and I've got too much to live for now. Her hand moved slightly. Maybe reaching for mine, maybe just nerve response. I chose to believe it was intentional. Took her hand. I love you, Mom. Despite everything. Because of everything. Rest now. She died that night. Dad called at 0300. She went peaceful, he said. After you left, she smiled. The funeral was small. Military honors because she'd been an army wife for 30 years before the betrayal. I stood in uniform, rendered salute as they folded the flag. Dad looked broken. Jake, I know I have no right to ask, but coffee? Just coffee. Then I'll leave you alone forever if that's what you want. Maria squeezed my hand. I'll wait in the car. Dad and I sat in a Denny's, two men with nothing and everything to say. She never forgave herself, he said finally. The guilt ate her alive. The stroke. Stress, the doctor said. You both made a choice. The wrong choice. We see that now. Saw it then, honestly. But we'd already committed. Couldn't figure out how to undo it. You could have told me the truth. Yeah, we could have. He stared at his coffee. I'm sorry, son. Not expecting forgiveness. Just wanted you to know. I'm sorry for failing you when you needed us most. I know. That's all? That's all I've got right now. We finished our coffee in silence. Outside, he stopped. Jake, the things you said to Mom about forgiving for yourself, not her. Maybe think about that with me too. Not now. Not soon. But someday. Maybe. That's more than I deserve. Yeah, it is. I watched him drive away, this old soldier who'd lost his war with conscience. Maria was waiting, patient as always. How'd it go? I don't know yet. Ask me in a year. December 2026 arrived with news. The Sultan Act's first successful prosecution. A spouse in Georgia tried to divorce a deployed soldier, got caught in the new requirements, faced actual jail time. Your law's got teeth, Harrison, now Lieutenant Colonel Harrison, called to tell me. Good. Also, Michelle's probation officer reached out. She's requesting early termination of probation. Needs victim input. What do you think? You're asking me? I'm just the messenger. I thought about it. Michelle had paid half the restitution, completed her community service. By all accounts, lived quietly in Spokane, working, keeping her head down. Granted, I said. Really? She's a footnote in my story now, Harrison. Let her be a footnote in her own. January 2027. 3 years since the betrayal. Maria pregnant with our first child. A son, the ultrasound said. We'd name him Thomas, after Thompson, who didn't make it home. You think we'll be good parents? Maria asked, hand on her growing belly. We'll be honest parents. That's better than good. Even with our damage? Especially with our damage. We know what betrayal costs. We won't let our son pay it. Dad called monthly now. Short conversations, feeling out the edges of possible reconciliation. I told him about the baby. A grandfather, he said, wonder in his voice. I'm going to be a grandfather. Biologically. Jake. Too soon, Dad. Way too soon. I know, I know. March. Rodriguez visited with his family, his wife pregnant with their third. Look at us, he said. Couple of broken soldiers making families. Living well is the best revenge. You don't want revenge anymore? I did. God, I did. But revenge takes energy I need for other things now. Building instead of burning. When did you get so philosophical? Therapy, Years of therapy. We laughed, watching his kids play in our backyard. Normal. We'd found normal in the aftermath of everything. Then Michelle called. First time hearing her voice in over 2 years. Jake, please don't hang up. You have 30 seconds. I'm getting married. He's a good man. Knows everything. Accepts it. I wanted to apologize. Really apologize. Not for probation or courts. For what I did to you. To us. Okay. That's it? Okay? What do you want, Michelle? Absolution? I'm not a priest. Forgiveness? That's not mine to give anymore. You want to apologize to someone. Apologize to the soldier who might not come home because you helped normalize betraying deployed service members. I know I hurt you. Hurt me? You didn't hurt me, Michelle. You destroyed me. But here's the thing. I rebuilt. Better, stronger, with someone who actually understands what love means. So thank you for that. For showing me what I was settling for. I loved you. No. You loved the idea of me. The benefits of me. The status of being a military wife without the actual sacrifice. That's not love. That's parasitism. Jake. Goodbye, Michelle. Don't call again. I hung up. Maria raised an eyebrow. You okay? Yeah, needed to say that. Closure, I guess. Feel better? Actually, yeah. May 2027. Thomas Jake Sullivan born at 0347, screaming and perfect. Dad sent flowers. I didn't throw them away. He looks like you, Maria said, exhausted but radiant. Poor kid. Lucky kid? He's got a father who knows what integrity costs and pays it anyway. Rodriguez and his wife were the first visitors. Uncle Rodriguez had already bought Thomas his first Army onesie. Starting the indoctrination early? Absolutely. This kid's going to grow up knowing what real loyalty looks like. As I held my son, I thought about the journey. 4 years since Afghanistan. 3 since the betrayal. A lifetime of changes compressed into moments that broke and rebuilt me. What are you thinking? Maria asked. That he'll never doubt he's loved. Never wonder if we'd choose him. Never find out we hid hard truths because we thought he couldn't handle them. That's a lot to promise a newborn? Yeah, but it's the minimum. The bare minimum. June. Dad asked to meet Thomas. I agreed, neutral ground, a park in Olympia. He looked older, grayer, smaller. When he saw Thomas, his face crumbled. He's beautiful. Yeah. Jake, Dad, let me be clear. You're meeting him because Maria convinced me everyone deserves a chance to know their grandfather. But you're not his grandfather yet. That's earned. You want a relationship with him? You earn it. Every day. No lies. No deception. No deciding what he can or can't handle. Break that trust once. You're done. I understand. Do you? Because you didn't understand when you hid my divorce papers. I understand now. Loss teaches what lectures can't. He held Thomas carefully, like precious glass. My son grabbed his finger, holding tight. Strong grip, Dad said. Sullivan gene. The good ones, hopefully. Not the ones that make you think you know better than everyone else. Working on that myself. We sat in awkward peace. 3 generations of Sullivan men, each carrying their own wounds. I'm writing a book, I said suddenly, about everything. Everything. The deployment, Michelle, you and Mom, the whole thing. That's fair. Your story to tell. It doesn't paint you well. Shouldn't. We don't deserve to be painted well. But I also write about this. The after. The attempt at something. Something is better than nothing. Yeah, sometimes. July 2027. The book found a publisher. Betrayed in Battle, a soldier's story of love, loss, and legal victory. Not my title, but marketing knew what sold. It's sensational, Maria said, reading the cover copy. It's honest. Think Michelle will sue? For what? Truth is an absolute defense. Your parents? Dad's actually helping, providing documents, testimony, says it's penance. Is it? It's something. The book released in September to modest success. Military spouse groups made it required reading. Jag added it to their library. I did a few interviews, always with Maria beside me. We were careful with the narrative. This wasn't about revenge or hatred. It was about protecting service members, about choosing legal processes over violence, about rebuilding after betrayal. Michelle never commented publicly. Brian disappeared entirely. But the book started conversations that needed having. October 2027, 4 years since the homecoming. Thomas took his first steps in our living room, Rodriguez filming while his kids cheered. Future soldier right there, Rodriguez said. Future whatever he wants to be, I corrected. Even a Marine? Let's not get crazy, we laughed. Maria got it on video. The moment, the friendship, the chosen family we'd built from the ashes of the one that failed us. That evening, Dad called. Jake, I read the book. And? It's fair, more fair than I deserved. You helped with it. Still, you could have destroyed us completely. You didn't. That's not who I am. No, it's not. Your mother would be proud of the man you've become. Despite us. Because of us. Both. Maybe. Jake? Yeah? Thank you for the chance with Thomas. For not shutting me out completely. For being better than we were. I'm trying, Dad. I know, me too. November came with unexpected news. The Army wanted to promote me, Master Sergeant Sullivan, but it meant returning to a line unit, probably deploying again. Your choice, Maria said. We'll make it work either way. I've done my deployments, earned my scars. So I think I'm done. 20 years next year, retirement eligible. You'd leave the Army. I'd leave the institution, the brotherhood, the values, the lessons, those stay forever. What would you do? Write, speak, advocate, help soldiers like us navigate the aftermath. Sergeant First Class Sullivan, retired, has a nice ring. Not as nice as just Jake. Husband, father, survivor. December 24th, 2027, Christmas Eve. 4 years since the therapy session that changed everything. Thomas played with wrapping paper while Maria and I watched, content in our small family. The doorbell rang, unexpected. I checked the peephole, hand instinctively reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. Old habits. Dad stood on the porch, holding a small gift. I know I wasn't invited, he said when I opened the door. But it's Thomas's first real Christmas. I have something for him. And you. Maria appeared behind me. Let him in. It's Christmas. Dad entered carefully, like the house might explode. Handed me an envelope. What's this? Open it. Inside were papers. Legal papers. A trust fund in Thomas's name, funded with the house he and Mom had owned. I sold it, he explained. Couldn't live there anymore. Too many ghosts. This way, something good comes from our failures. Dad, it's not an apology. Can't apologize enough. It's just ensuring Thomas has what you should have had. Security, choices. No dependence on anyone who might betray him. This is too much. It's not enough, but it's what I have. Thomas toddled over, grabbed Dad's leg for balance. Looked up with my eyes in Maria's face. Gamma? He said, not quite getting Grandpa yet. Dad looked at me, questioning. I nodded. Yeah, buddy, Grandpa's here. We didn't sing carols or pretend everything was fixed, but we sat together, 4 humans navigating the aftermath of betrayal, finding something like peace in the trying. January 2028, my retirement ceremony. Small, like our wedding. Rodriguez spoke, his missing fingers not stopping him from saluting sharply. Sergeant First Class Sullivan exemplifies the NCO creed. He chose harder right over easier wrong. He maintained honor when betrayed, dignity when destroyed, hope when broken. He is the standard we should all aspire to reach. Maria pinned on my retirement pin. Thomas, in a tiny suit, handed me my retirement certificate with 2-year-old solemnity. Thank you for your service, he said, carefully rehearsed. The crowd laughed. I picked him up, held him close. Thank you for making it worth it, I whispered. After the ceremony, people shared stories. The soldiers I'd helped through betrayals. The families navigating deployment aftermath. The changes my case had sparked in protecting service members. Michelle wasn't mentioned. She'd become what she deserved. A cautionary tale, a footnote, a lesson in what not to do. That evening, Maria and I sat on our porch, Thomas playing with toy soldiers Rodriguez had given him. Any regrets? Maria asked. About retiring? About any of it. I thought about it. The deployment, the betrayal, the fraud, the fight for justice, the slow reconciliation with Dad, the family we'd built from scratch. No regrets. It all led here. To you. To him. To this life. Even the pain? Especially the pain. It taught me what I could survive, what I was worth, what real love looked like when I found it. I love you, Jake Sullivan. I love you too, Maria Sullivan. Thomas looked up from his toys. Love too, he declared, then went back to his important work of making soldier noises. Perfect. Imperfect. Ours. The sun set over Fort Jackson, painting the sky in army colors. Somewhere, Michelle was living with her choices. Brian was selling insurance in Ohio. My parents' betrayal had cost them everything but was maybe, slowly, teaching them something. But here, now, in this moment, none of that mattered. I was home. Really home. Not the home I'd expected when that C-17 landed 4 years ago, but the home I'd earned through survival, integrity, and the choice to rebuild rather than revenge. Rodriguez texted, "Congrats on retirement, brother. You won." I texted back, "No winners in war, but yeah, I survived intact." That's winning, you philosophical weirdo. Maybe he was right. Maybe survival with dignity was victory enough. Maybe choosing legal process over vengeance, rebuilding over revenge, forgiveness over forever fury. Maybe that was winning. Thomas climbed into my lap, tired from playing. Story, Daddy? What kind of story? Soldier story. I looked at Maria. She nodded. Once upon a time, I began, there was a soldier who went far away to protect people. While he was gone, some people weren't nice to him. But instead of being mean back, he used his words and followed the rules, and eventually, he came home to people who really loved him. Like you? Yeah, buddy, like me. And Mommy? Especially Mommy. And me? Most of all you. He settled against my chest, content with this simplified version of our complicated truth. Someday, I'd tell him the whole story, about betrayal and survival, about choosing dignity over destruction, about the cost of integrity and why it's worth paying. But not tonight. Tonight, we were just a family on a porch, watching the day end, grateful for the journey that brought us here. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, then did. Jake Sullivan? Yes? This is producer Rachel Thompson from 60 Minutes. We'd like to discuss your story, the Sullivan Act, the changes in military spouse protections. Would you be interested in an interview? I looked at Maria, at Thomas, at the life we'd built. Send me the details. I'll consider it. Wonderful. Your story could help so many service members. That's the only reason I'd do it. After hanging up, Maria raised an eyebrow. National television? Maybe. If it helps one soldier avoid what I went through, worth it. Still fighting the good fight, even retired. Some fights don't end with discharge papers, Dad texted. Saw the retirement photos Rodriguez posted. Proud of you. I texted back, thanks. Jake? Yeah, Dad? I'm proud of who you became despite me. Not because of me, despite me. Maybe a little because. The good parts, at least. I love you, son. I stared at the phone for a long moment, then typed, I love you too, Dad. Meant it, mostly. Enough anyway. As darkness fell, we moved inside. Thomas went to bed easily, worn out from his big day. Maria and I stood in his doorway watching him sleep. Think he'll join the army? She asked. God, I hope not. Really? Well, maybe. If he does, he'll know what betrayal looks like, what loyalty costs, what integrity means. He'll be prepared. For war? For people. War's predictable. People are the real danger. We went to our room, in our house, in our life built from ruins. Made love quietly, slowly, with a deep appreciation of people who knew what it was like to lose everything and choose to trust again anyway. After, lying in the darkness, Maria said, "Tell me we made it." We made it. Through all of it. The betrayal, the fraud, the legal battles, the family drama. We made it. We did. Know what the best part is? What? Michelle has to live knowing she gave up a man who would have fought for her, who chose legal process over revenge, who rebuilt his life better without her. That's gotta sting. Maybe. Don't really care anymore. Really? Really. She's nothing to me now. A lesson learned. A bullet dodged. A blessing in disguise. That's very mature. That's therapy. Lots and lots of therapy. We laughed softly, careful not to wake Thomas. Jake? Yeah? We won. Yeah, I agreed, pulling her close. We did. Outside, Fort Jackson settled into sleep. Soldiers in barracks dreamed of home. Spouses waited for deployments to end. Some relationships would survive. Some wouldn't. Some service members would come home to betrayal like I had. But maybe, because of the Sullivan Act, because of the book, because of soldiers like Maria and me telling our stories, fewer would suffer in silence. Fewer would have benefits stolen. Fewer would choose violence over legal remedies. Maybe that was the real victory. Not personal triumph, but systemic change. Making the path easier for those who came after. Thomas stirred in his sleep, mumbled something about soldiers. My son, who would grow up knowing truth, even when it hurt. Who would understand that love meant choosing someone every day, especially the hard days. Who would never doubt his worth because we'd never give him reason to. What are you thinking? Maria asked, feeling my wakefulness. That I'm glad it happened. The betrayal? All of it. Because it led to you. To him. To this. You're glad your ex-wife betrayed you? I'm glad I found out who she really was before wasting more years. Glad I learned what I could survive. Glad I found real love instead of settling for the appearance of it. That's one way to look at it. The only way that doesn't lead to bitterness. She kissed me gently. I love your scarred philosophical heart. Just my heart? Well, other parts too. Which parts? The parts that chose dignity over destruction. That rebuilt instead of revenged. That loved again despite the risk. Those are all heart parts. Then I love all your heart parts. We slept then, wrapped around each other, safe in the knowledge that we'd chosen correctly. That trust, once broken, could be rebuilt with the right person. That betrayal wasn't the end of the story, just a chapter that led to better ones. Epilogue. 5 years later. Thomas's 7th birthday party. The backyard full of kids from his school. Military families mostly. Rodriguez's 3 kids led games while Maria supervised, pregnant with our second child, a daughter we'd name Linda, after my mother, because forgiveness means honoring the good while acknowledging the bad. Dad manned the grill, aged but steady, having earned his place through 5 years of consistent, honest presence. Never overstepping, never lying, never deciding what we could handle, just being there, reliable and true. Burgers up, he called. The kids swarmed, Thomas leading the charge, so confident in his place in the world. No questions about whether he was loved. No doubt about his worth. Uncle Jake, Rodriguez's oldest called, tell us an army story. Which one? The one about the bad guys. I looked at the eager faces. These kids who would grow up in military families, who would face deployments and reintegrations, who needed to know that survival was possible. Well, I began, settling into my storyteller voice. Once upon a time, there was a soldier who learned that the scariest battles aren't always in war zones. Was it you, Mr. Jake? Rodriguez's daughter asked. Maybe. Or maybe it was every soldier who ever came home to find home had changed. Maria caught my eye from across the yard, smiled. We'd told Thomas the age-appropriate version of our story. Someday he'd read the book, understand the full weight of what we'd overcome. But for now, he just knew that families could be chosen, that love was a verb requiring daily action, and that his parents had fought hard to build the life he took for granted. Did the soldier win? Another child asked. He survived. Sometimes that's the biggest victory of all. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, then saw the preview. Sergeant Sullivan, your book saved my marriage. Another soldier, another betrayal navigated better because we'd shared our story. These messages came weekly now. Service members who'd caught fraud early because they knew what to look for. Spouses who'd chosen honesty over deception because they'd seen the cost of lies. Families that stayed together because they'd learned from our mistakes and triumphs. Daddy, can I open presents now? Thomas interrupted my thoughts. Ask your mom. She said ask you. Then yes. The party continued. Normal. Beautifully, boringly normal. The kind of normal I'd have taken for granted before Afghanistan, before betrayal, before learning that normal was earned, not given. As the sun set, parents collecting kids, Rodriguez helped clean up. Good party, he said. Yeah. Remember when we thought we'd never have this? Which part? Any of it. The peace, the families, the ability to be in crowds without checking exits. Still check exits. Yeah, but now it's habit, not necessity. Progress. Is that what we're calling it? Better than calling it damage, he laughed. You still writing? Second book, about reintegration. The real kind, not the PowerPoint version. Anyone ask about Michelle lately? No, she's irrelevant now. Just a cautionary tale in someone else's story. Good, that's good. After everyone left, Dad helped with dishes while Maria put Thomas to bed. We worked in comfortable silence, two men who'd found an understanding in the ruins of betrayal. Jake, he said suddenly, I need to say something. Dad, please. I've been practicing this for 5 years. He set down the plate he was drying. I failed you. Not just by hiding the papers, by thinking I knew better. By treating you like a child instead of the man you'd become. The man you were. You went to war, survived combat, came home expecting support, and I betrayed that. I betrayed you. Dad, we've been through this. No, we've danced around it, made peace with it, but I've never fully owned it. So I'm owning it now. I failed you as a father, as a fellow soldier, as a man. And you've given me 5 years of chances I didn't deserve. That's not forgiveness, that's grace, and I'm grateful. I looked at this man who'd taught me to tie my shoes, to throw a baseball, to be a soldier, who'd also taught me through failure that even parents were human. Fallible, capable of catastrophic mistakes and small redemptions. I forgive you, Dad, completely. Not for you, for Thomas. For Linda when she's born. For me. Because carrying anger is exhausting, and I've got better uses for my energy. He nodded, eyes wet. Thank you. Thank you for becoming the grandfather they deserve, even if you weren't the father I needed. We finished the dishes in silence, but it was different now. Cleaner. Like the last infection had been drained from an old wound. Later, Maria and I sat on the porch. We always ended up on porches watching days end. Good party, she said, hand on her belly where Linda grew. Yeah. Thomas asked me something today. What? If we'd always been happy? What did you tell him? The truth. That happiness isn't constant. It's earned, daily, through choosing each other especially when it's hard. Heavy for a 7-year-old? He understood. Said that's why he loves us, because we choose him every day too. Smart kid. Sullivan genes, the good ones. My phone rang. The 60 Minutes producer again. We'd done the interview 2 years ago, but they called occasionally with updates. Jake, Rachel Thompson, wanted you to know. The segment just won an Emmy. Your story, the Sullivan Act, the changes it sparked. It's made a real difference. Good. Good? That's it? Your story won an Emmy. The story doesn't matter. The changes do. Are fewer soldiers getting betrayed? According to JAG statistics, fraudulent benefits cases are down 60% since the Sullivan Act passed. Then that's the real win. After hanging up, I told Maria. An Emmy. My husband's story won an Emmy. Our story. Our story. Think Michelle knows? Don't know. Don't care. Really? Not even a little satisfaction? She's living her consequences, working at a small clinic with a federal conviction following her forever. Brian's selling insurance in Ohio. They got what they earned. Meanwhile, we got this. I gestured at our home, our life, our family. We won by every measure that matters. When did you get so wise? Tuesdays with my therapist. Still going? Always. Mental health is like physical fitness. Stop working at it, and you lose it. Is that from therapy too? Fortune cookie, actually. We laughed, comfortable in our earned happiness. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from hypervigilance or nightmares. Those had faded to manageable echoes. Just thinking. I went to my office, opened the laptop, started writing. To the soldier who just found out about betrayal. It's not your fault. Whatever they did while you were gone, whatever lies they told, whatever benefits they stole, that's on them, not you. You were serving, they were stealing. You have two choices now, destruction or construction. Revenge or rebuilding. I won't lie, revenge feels better in the moment. But rebuilding lasts longer. Use the law, document everything, trust JAG, trust the system, even when it feels broken. It works, slowly, imperfectly, but it works. Find your people. Not the ones who say, I told you so, or push you toward violence. Find the ones who stand beside you while you navigate hell. They exist. Sometimes in unexpected places. Get therapy. I know. You're fine, you've handled worse, you don't need some civilian telling you how to feel. But trauma compounds. Betrayal on top of combat stress can break even the strongest. There's no shame in asking for help. The shame is in refusing it. Forgive, eventually. Not for them. They don't deserve it. For you. Because anger is heavy and you've carried enough weight. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or reconciling. It means setting down the load so you can pick up better things. You will survive this. You survived combat. You can survive betrayal. And someday, not soon, but someday, you'll realize the betrayal was a gift. It showed you who they really were, freed you to find who you really are, opened space for something better. That's not comfort, I know. Right now, you want justice, maybe revenge, definitely answers. They'll come. Maybe not how you expect, but they'll come. Until then, one foot in front of the other. One day at a time. One breath, one choice, one small victory building to something bigger. You've got this. Even when it feels like you don't. Especially then. SFC Jake Sullivan, Redditiker, Survivor. I posted it to the military spouse support forums, the veterans groups, anywhere a betrayed service member might stumble across it at 0300, wondering how to make it to 0400. Maria appeared in the doorway. Can't sleep? Just thinking. About? How different it all could have been. One choice here, one there. Michelle could have been honest. My parents could have told the truth. I could have chosen violence over law. But none of that happened. No, we all chose what we chose. And here we are. Any regrets? No? You? Never. She came behind me, read what I'd written. This is good. This will help people. Hope so? No, so. You helped me, remember? When I was processing my own betrayals? We helped each other. Yeah, we did. She kissed the top of my head. Come to bed. Thomas has early soccer practice. Soccer. When I was his age, it was baseball or nothing. Times change? Yeah, they do. Back in bed, I thought about time. 5 years since the homecoming that broke me. 11 years since Afghanistan. A lifetime of changes. Maria? We're happy, right? Like, actually happy. Not just managing or surviving, but happy. She rolled over, faced me in the darkness. Jake Sullivan, we are stupidly, boringly, wonderfully happy. We have healthy kids, a stable home, meaningful work, and each other. We have coffee in the morning and wine at night, soccer practices and birthday parties, friends who've seen our worst and stuck around. We are so happy it would make a Hallmark movie jealous. Just checking. Why? Sometimes it feels too good to be real. Like I'll wake up and be back in that guest room, Michelle avoiding me, my whole world crumbling. That's the PTSD talking, the waiting for the other boot to drop. Yeah, no boots dropping here. Just soccer cleats and birthday cake and normal life earned through extraordinary survival. I love you. I love you too. Now sleep. Thomas inherited your morning energy. He'll be up at 5:30. God help us. He's got Maria's volume control, though. There is no God. We laughed quietly, settled into sleep. At 0532, Thomas bounded in. Soccer day. Dad, we're going to crush the Tigers. It's a recreational league, buddy. We're going to have fun and learn sportsmanship. And crush the Tigers with sportsmanship, Maria groaned, pulled a pillow over her head. Your son. Before coffee, he's definitely mine. The day unfolded normally. Soccer practice, where Thomas showed the intensity of someone with two military parents. Grocery shopping, where we ran into one of Michelle's old friends who quickly changed aisles. Lunch at the park, where other military families gathered, our chosen tribe. Mr. Jake, one of the kids asked, were you a hero in the army? No, just a soldier doing his job. My dad says you're a hero, says you saved lots of soldiers from getting screwed, messed up by bad people. I looked at the kid's father, a staff sergeant from the base. He nodded, raised his coffee in salute. Your dad's being nice. No, the sergeant said, coming over. I'm being accurate. My ex tried the same thing during my last deployment. Because of the Sullivan Act, because of your book, I knew what to look for, caught it early, saved my benefits and my sanity. So yeah, hero's the right word. Just did what anyone would. No, you did what most wouldn't. You chose law over violence, process over revenge. You made it easier for the rest of us. That matters. He walked away before I could respond. Maria squeezed my hand. Hero, she whispered. Stop. Never. That evening, Dad called. Our weekly check-in. How's Thomas? Soccer go well? He's convinced he's the next Messi. Good. Confidence is important. How's Maria? Linda growing okay? Both perfect. And you? Good, Dad. Really good. I'm glad. Hey, Jake. Yeah? Your mom would be proud of who you became, of the father you are. She'd be so proud. Thanks, Dad. I mean it. Despite our failures, you became extraordinary. Just a guy who survived, Dad. Nothing extraordinary about that. Everything extraordinary about that. After hanging up, I found Maria in Thomas's room, reading him a story. I stood in the doorway watching. My family. Built from ruins, stronger for the breaking. Thomas saw me. Daddy, Mom's reading about dragons. Good dragons or bad dragons? Both. Some dragons guard treasures and some burn villages. Which would you be? A treasure guardian, but I'd share the treasure with good people. That's my boy. Later, after Thomas was asleep, Maria and I returned to our porch. Always the porch. Good day, she said. Yeah? Think we'll always have good days? No, but I think we'll handle the bad ones better than most. Because we've had practice? Because we've had worse. Cheerful thought. Realistic thought. When did you become a pessimist? I'm not. I'm an optimist who's been educated by experience. Is that from therapy? Fortune cookie. You and your fortune cookies. Hey, ancient wisdom in bite-sized portions. We sat quietly, listening to the bass in the distance. Taps would play soon, the mournful beauty of day's end. Jake? Yeah? What would you tell yourself 5 years ago? That Jake, sitting in the guest room, world falling apart? I thought about it. That Michelle leaving was the best thing that would never feel good. That betrayal was just redirection towards something better. That the family who failed him would make space for the family who wouldn't. Would he believe you? No. He needed to live it to believe it. Like everyone does. Yeah. Taps began, distant but clear. We stood, old habit, rendered honors to the flag we couldn't see but knew was there. Still gets me, Maria said when it ended. Every time. We went inside, checked on Thomas, prepared for tomorrow. Another normal day in our extraordinarily normal life. In bed, Maria asked, "Any more messages from betrayed soldiers?" "3 today. Walked them through the process. You're making a difference. Trying. Succeeding. Maybe. Definitely." She fell asleep, but I lay awake thinking. Not about the past. That was settled. Not about Michelle or Brian or my parents' betrayal. Those were closed chapters. But about the future. Thomas growing up. Linda arriving soon. The life we were building day by day. My phone buzzed. Another message from a betrayed soldier. This one deployed, just found out his wife emptied their accounts. I typed back, "Brother, I know it doesn't feel like it, but you're going to be okay. Document everything. Contact JAG immediately. Use the chain of command. Choose legal process over revenge. And know that someday, this betrayal will be the best worst thing that ever happened to you. You'll build something better from the ruins. Trust the process. Trust yourself. You've got this." He responded immediately. "How do you know?" "Because I lived it. Because I survived it. Because I'm writing this from the other side, where life is better than I imagined possible." When does it stop hurting? It doesn't stop. It just gets quieter. And other things get louder. Better things. New love. Real family. Actual happiness. The pain becomes background noise in a life too full of good to notice it much. Thank you. Pay it forward. When you're through this, help the next one. That's how we all survive. I put the phone down, pulled Maria close. She mumbled something in her sleep, settled against me. Perfect fit, like we were engineered for this exact configuration. 5 years since betrayal. A lifetime since Afghanistan. Forever until tomorrow's soccer practice. I closed my eyes, no longer waiting for mortars or checking locks or expecting betrayal. Just existing in this moment, this peace, this life earned through survival and rebuilt through choice. The last thing I thought before sleep. Michelle had been wrong. She hadn't freed herself when she filed those papers. She'd freed me. And that freedom had led here, to this bedroom, this family, this future stretching out like a promise of all the normal, beautiful days to come. Some stories end with explosions, some with revelations, some with justice served cold and complete. This one ends with a man falling asleep beside the woman who helped him rebuild, in a house full of love instead of lies, with children who would never doubt their worth, in a life that exceeded every dream he'd carried through combat. It ends with peace. Hard-won, carefully guarded, daily chosen peace. It ends with victory that looks like ordinary Tuesday nights and soccer practice Saturdays and weekly calls with a father earning redemption one conversation at a time. It ends exactly as it should. Not with revenge realized, but with life fully lived. Betrayal transformed into blessing, and a soldier finally, truly, completely home. The end.